through spiritual pathways. Okay, there's many ways that we all come into settling into a certain faith. For me personally, I'm a Christian. Um, Damon, you're a Christian, yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Chrome, you're a Christian too.
Yes, indeed.
And then we're gonna have some chime-ins from our podcast buddy Jake here. Jake, say what's up.
What's poppin'?
And would you say you're a Christian?
Absolutely.
Yes, we're all Christians here, but just because we're Christians, that don't mean that we're not aware or have had experiences with other spiritual practices or things, okay? So, let's just get into that. Demond, let's start with you. What are some different paths that you have taken that have brought you to your spiritual place today?
Yeah, for me, I was really into, well, all my life I've kind of identified as like Gemini, horoscope, blase blah, personality traits, things like that. I've tried that. I've tried more like spiritual things, like with, I used to dabble in some psychedelics. And,
Okay.
you know, I felt some connection to the earth, blase blah, that kind of goes into naturalism, things like that. So I have some experience with that. I never really went the whole witchcraft route as far as like crystals and sage and things like that, but I know quite a few people who have. So I've been around people who have done that, but I'd say mostly it's been like spiritualism, and eventually it kind of led me to finding Jesus and finding Christ for myself and things like that. But yeah, those are like the two main-ish paths that I've been on.
So I ain't never did psychedelics before. So what is that like? I mean, I know it's drugs, right?
Yeah,
I mean-
psychedelics. Well, it's kind of hard to describe to anyone who's never done them in any capacity. What I can say is like once you do them, you kind of never perceive the world in the same way ever again.
What?
Especially with me, I've done shrooms, I've done acid, and I've done DMT.
What is DMT?
DMT is dimethyltryptamine. Dimethyltryptamine is a chemical that is produced by your brain, and it's kind of always in your body, but that's what floods your brain when you die.
Whoa.
That's what they say.
Yeah, so it's a very powerful experience in both, I would say in both good and bad ways. Dimethyl, when I was doing DMT, that's probably the single most moment in my life that I felt the most fear. I was really, really scared, like very scared. That, and I had one night with a couple friends of mine where I had way too high of a dose of acid, and that was also terrifying. Like, and that kind of led me to spiritually search as far as like, hey, I felt something that scared me, and I wanted to find like, you know, that wasn't what I want to feel in my life, and so what else is out there. That kind of led me into studying religion, other sources of spiritual strength and things like that, and eventually I landed on Jesus, who was there throughout my whole life. I was raised Baptist Christian at the church, Mount Olivet Baptist Church.
Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry because I know some people are just thinking like, hold on, wait a second. How does dude go from doing psychedelics and DMT and now with Jesus? It's like, what? Okay, first of all, like, what were you experiencing on the highs and doing too much acid? Like, what was you seeing? What was you hearing? Like, what was going on in your brain?
Well, I mean, on the time that I took way too much I was pretty much basically kind of seeing the code of reality is kind of how I would describe it. It was shapes, colors. I remember closing my eyes. There is a very specific like hexagonal, I think it was like a dodecahedron of like just color just bouncing around like like the Windows loading screen kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't know what like, yes, but 2000 babies know what I'm talking about when I talk
I
about
know, yeah.
it.
See, I love to get in that too because I took way too much one time, and that was like my choice of drug that I did. I'm not proud of it, but I had taken I think 40 at one time, and so like you said, you know, they call that a thumbprint or whatnot, whatever. I might get into the terms of it, but like you said, you cannot describe it to somebody that's never done it. Like there's no way. The best way that I can describe at least DMT or LSD is your consciousness goes to absolute infinity and your ego goes to absolute zero.
Your
Yes.
consciousness goes to infinity. Your consciousness. So it's like you're basically hyper aware of reality.
Yeah. On DMT, DMT knocks you completely unconscious. You're unconscious for about 5 to 10 minutes. And my experience with DMT was while I was unconscious, I was asking myself like rapid fire questions of like, who am I? Where am I? What is my purpose? Da 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 da. That goes into the ego part of like quote unquote ego death. I never reached the ego death stage because I just wasn't doing it properly. And me and my friends, it was super random. We were just hanging out, and then my friend's dad comes out. He's like, "You guys want to try DMT?" We were all like, "Sure." So it was super random for us, so we didn't have any idea as far as how to do it. But you experience ego death with DMT. It's possible to experience ego death with all psychedelics, but with DMT, I hear that the most often.
Okay, so you asking yourself these. By the way, the Man Up Club does not promote drug use, boys and
No,
girls.
we do not.
Just to be clear about that, but hey, we're having a real conversation here. This is a lot of people's experience with this
That's what
stuff.
it looks like.
Yeah, do not try this stuff
Okay,
at home,
show that
kids.
to the camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
it basically looks like that for about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then you come back out.
Okay, so Damon, so you're asking yourself, what's my purpose? Who am I? Like, what's the point of life? Like, and so when you're in that space, what did that do for you? I mean, coming out of that, and how did you come to God?
It kind of made me, it sort of forced me to find those answers for myself, which kind of led into like this spiritual search as far as like, who am I? What is my purpose on this earth? How can I fulfill that purpose? Why do I not know the answers to these questions yet? I think at the time I was 19 at the time, I think 19 or 20. And so it kind of forced me to find the answers to those questions, which is why I delved into like religious research, spiritual research, what is numerology, what does it mean to be spiritual, what is spirituality, how many different avenues are there, like what are the options available to me, and things like that. So it just kind of forced me to answer those questions.
Okay, so you went on a quest to find these spiritual practices and then came across Christianity?
Well, I didn't come across Christianity. It's always been there throughout my whole life. Like I said, I was raised in church. So it was just when I was younger, I didn't understand it, or I didn't understand the importance of Jesus and of Jesus' sacrifice for me, and how much love and sacrifice that God has for me to be able to do something like that. But now that I've lived life, and now that I have some experience and I understand the context more, Jesus was the ultimate answer to me that helped me feel better emotionally, spiritually, gives me strength every day. He's gotten me through many, many things, including being enlisted, things like that, and things that I know that I couldn't do on my own, for sure. And so I didn't really see any results from any of the other things that I tried, as far as, smoking weed every day, doing psychedelics, drinking after my friend had passed, like things like that. None of those things were fulfilling for me until I found Jesus and built my relationship with God and actually started talking to God as my friend and father instead of some God who I felt was always mad at me. That was one emotion that kind of kept me away from God, was I felt so flawed as a human being, and I'm very hyper aware of myself, that it kind of pushed me away from God for years and years and years, until I finally decided to take that step to actually have a conversation and get to know God and build that relationship. So
That's real. Thank you for sharing that. What about you, Chrome? Have you ever did drugs? No, I'm just no, but like, have you ever had an experience with other spiritual practices, or have you ever had a different mindset spiritually than you do now? And what was your experience with that?
So I've always been a dreamer. I've seen a lot of things in my dreams. Like, I've been Spider-Man a couple times. I've been myself flying in the air. I've been to places that seem like hell. So I've seen a lot of things in dreams, not really so much with drugs or nothing like that. You know, like it's never been, you know, when you smoke weed, you can feel the spirit world way. If you really focus in, you can feel a lot of things in the spirit way more. You know, that's why I probably call it a gateway drug. You know what I'm saying? You kind of open yourself up to the spirit when you smoke. You know, open yourself up to different things.
See, a lot of people use it for like meditation because it slows down
Right.
their mindset. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, it slows you down, puts you in that mode. You can hear. If you're really trying to do what you're trying to do, you'll do it. But yeah, that it's pretty much been that in dreams. I've taken ecstasy one time, actually a couple times, but that's not really, that's beside the point, all right?
Right.
But other than that, no. I mean, I've dove into numerology, studied numerology a little bit, got into a couple witchcraft books, a lot of like sexual witchcraft books.
You said what?
Yeah, sex magic.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to try to figure a couple things out about myself, you know what I'm saying? Not really about me, but about how things operate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, when you think of, I just thought about soul ties. You know.
Right.
Wow, this is getting interesting.
It's
I mean, it
getting
has
juicy.
been, but let guys stay tuned in. Stay tuned in.
Cool. So this next one, I'll have you do an outro, like a legit outro, so we need to kind of implement them here and there.
Okay. But the intro's fine.
Yeah, just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, ecstasy is nothing to play around with.
Yeah,
You'll
bro.
lose your happiness in your 20s if you do too much.
Bro, for real.
Like you won't be able to be happy ever again.
I'm
Ooh.
dead serious.
Because it like increases the dopamine level so much that it's so close to meth. I mean, it's a form of meth
Oh,
that the dopamine receptors, they won't be able to. Like, you'll just be depressed the rest of
I
your life.
think you need to say that on the podcast.
Yeah, no, it's we're encouraging drugs at this point.
No, yeah.
Nah, we're talking about it and solving it. So if anybody else, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you really need to say
I
that.
got
Should we put like a disclaimer at the beginning? Like,
Yeah, we
hey,
should. I'll put something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
one's not for
Explicit
kids.
content.
Because I was gonna say, there was a thought in my mind. I thought that maybe Holy Culture or my dad or something.
I was just thinking about that. Like, what if your dad?
Like-
I mean, this is real life though. This is real life.
Yeah,
This is
because
real life.
it is a real ass conversation. Like,
Yeah.
come on now.
Are these yours? Is these earmuffs somebody? Are these yours?
No, they're just in the studio.
Oh, all right,
You
cool.
can rock them.
I was gonna say
I mean, it's here for the holiday.
these ones are fire. I like these old. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I need to say that.
I got you.
Swagged
Yeah,
out.
just hand it out. I'll just say that right away.
We'll do it off.
They'll just like hand it out, like when you do the outro, just be like, you were just saying something. I don't know how you do it.
Not right now in the beginning. Maybe you should say that now because it's closest to what he said.
But that's what I'm saying.
Man, nobody was supposed to know that.
I mean, I guess I could. Yeah, that's true. We're just making up it.
So what if your family sees it? They're
Yes.
like, come on.
My family's gonna hear this. They're gonna call me.
Oh God.
You're gonna be like, so you
Look.
took psychedelics before?
Right.
So we're gonna take it to rehab.
I'm already exactly. Like,
So we're gonna take it.
so you were a drug addict? No, bro. It's
You're
not
kicked
even
off the
like
insurance, Devon.
It's not even like.
that. It's not even like that, bro.
Yeah. Nah, see, I was taking a super small amount.
Yeah.
Like mine was.
You're microdosing.
I mean, bro, it wasn't even microdoses. This is from Amsterdam.
Mm.
So it's, you know what I'm saying, super pure, super crazy.
Right. Yeah. I got mine from the Netherlands.
For real.
Yeah. So
Damn.
they got all the super labs. All right, cool. Let me just say that real quick.
Yeah.
We're so happy people. You know?
And the other thing too I want to mention is like ecstasy. If you do too much, or even with any drug, I feel like it'll decrease. Like you'll be sad for the rest of your life because the dopamine level, you're ruining it. It's like meth. It's like anything else. Not that I've done any of those things, but like I know the science behind it, and it'll ruin your consciousness to a certain extent where you won't be able to be happy because it depletes the deficiency of the receptors that create dopamine, and it just ruins it for you for the rest of your life, basically.
Yeah, it's nothing to play with, and I'm glad that you said that. But you know, Chrome, you got me thinking.
So we're gonna stop it right there, because then this will be I'm just gonna save that and I'll add it into the other segment so it makes sense, and now we can just start a full new segment so we can separate.
Okay. So
Don't do drugs, y'all.
Yeah, just start this is the second.
Smoke weed.
So
Okay,
we're
okay.
going into the second.
And drink wine.
Absolutely.
I had a beer one time.
Oh man, don't get me talking about the beers, dude.
Yeah.
We talking about the beers for hours.
I had an IPA the other day for the first time. Who on earth likes those things?
Dude, what?
Those are gross.
No,
dude.
bro, no,
dude,
bro,
nasty.
no, bro.
I almost threw up on my hair.
Look, you gonna
I know
drink
there's
two
different types though. There's
two blue moons, and then you gonna finish it off with IPA.
like, Blue Moons aren't bad. I like Blue Moons.
Right, you're gonna finish it off with the IPA because IPA is gonna get you across that lump. You know what I'm saying? The two blue moons didn't get you to. They took you to the gate, but the IPA is the door key.
Gateway.
Feel me?
It's doorway. It's like cheese snack. That's crazy.
IPA is the doorkeeper, boy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's gonna take you.
What was the? Thanks. What was the point of what you were saying?
Yeah, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
Point of what?
Like you were talking about, yeah, like you studied numerology. You got into like sex magic, like witchcraft. You got into I mean, yeah, weed. Like you know that you said you get in touch with like the spiritual world a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's what you guys asked me. What was, you know what I'm saying, my spiritual or whatever for you?
Oh yeah. Okay.
What was the question you asked me?
Well, the question was what were
Some attributes from your life or experiences from your life that have brought you to the way that you are in your faith right now.
Oh, serious?
yeah, but spiritual.
Oh, well, yeah, that's all of that.
Okay, so now you're gonna say how it influenced.
So how? Right.
Like how did it?
Well, I mean, it's just you learn about those things and you actually see, okay, this is how it is. Like
Like
you have Legos, you have Legos,
Okay.
but until you look at the instruction book, you're never gonna really know how it really goes together.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying?
Let's put it on the podcast. Yeah, put that on the podcast.
Here goes the
Like,
cameras. The intro. 3, 2.
We're back on the Man Up Club Presents podcast, and we're talking about spiritual practices and experiences that we've had, that have experienced. Oh, shoot, go back. Is that on camera too?
Yup. We were talking about IPAs on camera.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2.
We're back on the Man Up Club Presents podcast, and we're talking deep about spiritual practices that we've all experienced since. What the hell? Okay.
I love this Christian podcast.
Okay.
The
Sorry.
exposure.
And why is the camera blurry?
Dang.
It wasn't blurry.
It wasn't blurry the whole time. Okay, here we go. That's why I redid it.
3, 2.
We're back on the Man Up Club Presents podcast. Damn it. Okay,
Come
I'll do it one
on.
more time. One more
It's
time.
Come
gonna
on.
be bloopers.
Come on, bro. Can somebody turn the contrast down on my camera?
I can't even
It's
do
okay.
I'm looking like Jake over here.
it. That is facts. He's about the same skin color.
Nice.
All right, 3, 2.
We're back on the Man Up Club Presents podcast, and we're talking deep about spiritual practices and things that we've experienced. Now, Chrome, you said some things that have really sparked my interest. You diving into like you were talking about, you know, numerology, even like a little bit of witchcraft and understanding those things. What did that even do for you? I mean, now you're a Christian, but it's like how you go from point A to Z.
Well, I always grew up Christian. I always grew up in the church. I always grew up heavy in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Knowing a lot of things in the Bible. But I felt like I was blaspheming it a little bit, kind of preaching it, but not practicing it. So I had to just understand how things worked. I wanted to understand how the world works, how you know, just understand more things about where I'm at, you know what I'm saying, and what's going on in my life. So going down these roads of learning about, you know, witchcraft and things like that, it's like if you got a box of Legos, you know, you can build them any type of way you want to, straight out of the box, but you're not going to build it exactly how it's supposed to go, how it's intended to be, if you don't ever read the instruction book and, you know what I'm saying, build the car or whatever you're building.
Okay, so I'm kind of understanding what you're saying. Are you saying like when it comes to the world around us and understanding the world around us,
Right,
there is a spiritual realm,
right,
period. And there are people who don't believe that there's a spiritual realm, that there's spiritual darkness around us, or that there's spirits of light. Like they just only look at the physical and what's real and reality and science, right? Things that we can physically see.
right.
And so what I'm hearing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing from both of you actually is that through these other experiences, you've been able to actually like see and experience, oh, like what I'm going through right now, it's not physical.
Right.
And there is meaning to, certain numbers. The numerology thing, both of y'all said that. I've never studied numerology. Is that like the 777 and the 666, like the meaning of numbers in a spiritual sense?
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Or no?
Yeah, it's like angel numbers.
Yeah, that's like.
I don't know how those work.
But numerology, it also goes deeper, like into doing math to like add numbers, subtract numbers, and then like certain numbers all numbers have like some deeper meaning to it. Especially like repeating numbers like 333, 111, da 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 da. But numerology goes also into doing math with it too. I've hated math, that's why I didn't really get that deep into numerology. But for me personally, I see angel numbers all the time. And me and Chrome were having a conversation where I asked him, like, what is your opinion on angel numbers? Like, do you see them? What do you think about them? And yeah, it was, for me, since I've become like more spiritually aware of things, I know that the enemy can do things to throw you off. And so they're called angel numbers because they're said to be communications from God or angels to encourage you, guide you, lead you on the right path in life, whatever. But it says nothing about that in the Bible. So that could be another deception, blah, 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 whatever. I kind of just see him. I don't really take him serious. Could be a deception, could not be. I don't know. I don't care. I follow the Bible. I follow Jesus and his message. Don't say nothing about that. So if it's not in the Bible and it's not about Jesus and what he preached and what his message was, I'm not going to follow it, pretty much.
Wait, but you said that the angel numbers are not in the Bible, or are they?
They're not. No.
Okay.
There's no form of communication between, like, at least physically, with like numbers or anything between like you and God or angels that is talked about in the Bible, other than angels appearing to people as angels and like God talking to people as God, not showing up in numbers and things like that.
Okay, but what about the devil's number, 666?
Yeah, he has his own number too.
Do you believe that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean that has its own spiritual power too and everything like that. And so that's another reason why I believe it's almost kind of a deception to just throw people off, because people will take angel numbers as gospel. They'll be like, oh, this means this, that means this is going to happen soon, or I just saw 222, I should feel this kind of way about this person or whatever. Like they'll take it to like, you know what I mean, they'll take it as like gospel and they'll follow that and whatever the meaning behind that number is.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Like they're taking the numbers and following the numbers for a directive rather than God.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Speaking of following certain things and symbols, like let's talk horoscopes. So, Chrome, your face was like, ugh. Why did you do that?
I don't really like talking about them. It's just people. It's just that make me mad because it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm an Aries or whatever. I don't even know. But that's based on how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna tell me how I feel. I tell you, you know what I'm saying? I feel how I feel.
See, to me, it's kind of like, tarot cards, right? Like, I feel like they're so generic to anybody that's reading the tarot cards. So like everybody can relate to any of them. Same with like horoscopes.
No, Jake. Like, yeah, go ahead.
It's basically the same thing with horoscopes. Like, I don't really do the research, like crystals and stuff, and like you gotta charge your crystals on the full moon. Like, respect to you, I understand if that's placebo effect. I had an ex at the time, and I was given, she was telling me about crystals. I probably had a red flag there. I should have known that. But she was telling me about this one crystal that would like break you down mentally and ruin your life completely, and then build you back up. So it like completely like reborn you, reset you, or whatever. And just to prove that it didn't do that, I held it without her knowing in my pocket for like a year, and like nothing happened. And I was like, okay, well. But again, I also do understand like quartz, like rose quartz, is for healing, maybe, or I could be butchering it, so I apologize. But I know that like the placebo effect of having those crystals the placebo effect is real. It can make you feel things that aren't actually necessarily happening or there. But that's my take on it.
Okay, and just for everyone who doesn't know about the placebo effect, go ahead and spit what that is.
Yeah, so the placebo effect is when you think, right, you have a belief that something is working when it's actually not. You know what I mean? But but you have that full 100% belief, and it's kind of the faith in the object. You know what I mean? It's like kind of putting your faith in idolize. It doesn't have to even be like an object, but you think something's happening to your body, especially with physically. Your body will like, say for example, you think that you like broke your finger, but you really just stubbed it really bad. Like your brain can literally think that your finger is broken, or like when you get shot, right? Or if you get shot, like you can think you're gonna be okay, but then like your brain realizes, oh, it's life and death, even though it might not be life and death. Your brain goes to that, and so it's kind of tricking your brain into thinking something. It's a placebo effect.
Now, okay, I will say this though. I do think that there are certain elements of the earth and certain objects that come from the earth that do have not energy, but it serves a purpose, okay? And what I'm talking about is, for example, okay, God gave us lavender, okay? Like lavender, to a lot of people, it does bring a sense of calm because of the scent.
Brings me
Right.
panic.
But
It's very subjective, yeah. Well, the reason it brings me panic is because I was subjected to it in a very different way. People would like, either you add it to your weed or whatever, and you smoke with it, and it's supposed to like decrease the anxiety. No, just every time I smell it, like I tried to have a candle in my room just to get rid of that fear, but it's just like it induced panic just because of past experience.
See, okay, and that's a great example of how it's different for everybody. But what I'm saying generally is like, for example, okay, God gave us water on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Like the sound of rushing water or dripping water or flowing water, it puts people to sleep sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe they don't have to take a medicine, but if they put themselves in a dark room and they hear water or rain outside, it's calming to them. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is there is a purpose to interacting with the substances of the earth around us. You feel me? Like as a Christian, I wholeheartedly believe that. I think that people go too far when they start to worship those items. Okay? And then like when it comes to like the horoscope stuff, I never got into them because of what you said, Chrome, which is like kind of like, it's just like, it's kind of, what did you say?
It just tells you who you are, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, dang, that does kind of sound like me.
Right.
But you start believing that too hard and you start becoming the horoscope.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it starts controlling you. And that's, you know what I'm saying? That could be a demon. You know what I'm saying? You were inviting the demon in, believing in this horoscope so hard that now you're just mindless, you know what I'm saying? Being controlled.
Yeah, and I will say this is not a podcast or episode to bash people who are into this stuff, you know, but it's all about making a conversation and understanding the reason why we're thinking what we're thinking, because we can just simply have a conversation and hear each other out just for it to make sense, right? And the thing is, like, I can kind of understand, you know, the reason why people will kind of live by these horoscopes is because, you know, there is meaning behind
It's attractive.
I mean, it's attractive, but what I'm saying is, like, yes, the earth has certain gravitational pulls and, you know, there's certain seasons for things, you know, but do I believe that, you know, because I was born in October 28th, it's like, I know I'm a Scorpio, like that much I know, and I know what they say about Scorpios, but am I going to go believe that, like, okay, as a Scorpio, like, I'm super fiery and, you know, like, I mean, what do they say about Scorpios? Like,
I don't even know what I am. I'm September, late September. Is that so? Because I know like for each different parts of them. I'm not even gonna start.
But my point, guys, is, I'm not going to act only based off of what things say about my horoscope, because I think that's putting me in a box. And like you said, Jake, it's restricting. Like,
yeah. It legitimately closes your mind because you think you found the answer and you're like, oh, this is the reason I am the way that I am, and this is like whatever. And so they come up with an excuse. Everybody wants an excuse nowadays. So that's just an excuse. I see it as that, potentially. Like, not everybody, obviously, like the placebo effect is real, but a lot of people kind of want to go the easy route. So if they find an answer to the way that they're behaving, they'd rather blame that than maybe their personal decisions. I don't know, it's a thought.
And there is truth to this stuff, okay? Like, yes, I do have a fiery personality. Like, you feel me? I'm a big personality, but I'm not gonna just base my whole identity on the horoscope. What about you, Damon? What's been your experience with horoscopes? Was there a time in your life where you were big on that, or no?
I would say there was a time in my life where I kind of identified as a Gemini, but not because I really wanted to, but because when I would tell people, "Oh, you're a Gemini," people would like kind of instantly write me off as like a bad person, or like I'm not a good personality to be around, only because of the characteristics that Gemini have, which are generally like two-faced, kind of flippant, indecisive, things like that. And so it's like when people would tell me like, "Oh, you're a Gemini," da 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 da, I kind of started to believe that. And for me personally, the more that I've found myself within the body of Christ, the less and less like a Gemini I act. So I just kind of start to, identify as, a child of God. And I'm still on my journey, of course, but I'm a lot less Gemini-like than I used to be. And I don't really identify as that anymore. Whenever someone asks me what I am, it's like, oh yeah, I'm a child of God.
This is the Man of Club podcast, and we're getting into spirituality. I said we're getting into it, like we haven't already been getting into it.
In the midst of it.
And I know my dad be watching these, so he's gonna criticize me. He stopped saying this.
Was that the second one? Yeah, that was the second.
Yeah, that was the second one.
So where were you at?
What you mean?
What state were you in?
I was in Chicago.
Oh, you was in Chirac?
Yeah, I was right by the Great Lakes. So it wasn't terrible. I mean, the weather was kind of almost the same. It was just really windy.
Okay, we're
It's
ready,
the Windy
guys.
City for now.
Hello.
Good.
Okay. All right, ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Here are the cameras, audios in 3, 2.
Chrome, let's touch back on something that you mentioned earlier, which was sexual witchcraft. What comes to mind for me, I ain't never heard that, by the way, but what comes to mind for me and what I can relate to is soul ties.
Mhm.
Like, as a Christian, it's like, okay, one of the reasons you shouldn't be out here having sex with everybody is because your soul gets tied to that person.
For sure.
There's been a time where I did not believe in soul ties, because I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, they said that, when you have sex with somebody and then your soul ties to them, you'll act a certain way later on in life. You're not going to know where it comes from, but it's probably because that person was acting that way. But then I kind of went back on my own thought, and I was like, well, maybe soul ties are real, because we are not just physical, but we're also spiritual. And when you're physically coming together with somebody, you are.
It's pretty intimate.
When you're physically coming together with somebody, that's the only time that you become one physically. Okay? So with that being said, it's like that's the closest you can get to somebody in a certain way, because there's people who do have sex with each other and it's not emotional at all. It's like hit it and quit it.
Right.
But yeah, what's your thoughts about that, Chrome? Like with the soul ties, and I mean, does that relate to the sexual witchcraft stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you're having sex with a bunch of people. You're gonna start acting different, feeling different, start acting like that person that you were with. And I mean, if you was with 10 people, you're gonna 10 different personalities. Also, what comes with that? I mean, you guys can look it up. Like when you kiss somebody, your DNA of your saliva stays alive in the other person's mouth for, I'm pretty sure, a couple hours, like a couple days, I think, a couple weeks probably. So you're sharing during DNA, even just by a simple kiss. So to even go deeper, and you know what I'm saying, start putting that work in, you going down to a deeper, like a even deeper sexual experience. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. And obviously, you guys can, you guys be as free as you can, but obviously, you can let me know if it's, you can just close the, with your answer off as much as you need to. But have you guys ever experienced that Like when it comes to sexual soul ties, like do you actually feel different? Like, I mean, how does that make sense though? You feel me? Like,
No, for sure, it makes a lot of sense. Like as a boy, um, you know, our sexual energy is just supposed to be. It's supposed to be. We're supposed to stay inside of us. We're not supposed to be releasing. What I'm saying, 20 times in one day. That's gonna make us more weak and just more susceptible to acting like a female. So it weakens a man. Now females, they're different. They can keep going on and on and on. Like a man's, he's not supposed to go on and on and on. You can test it out if you want. I encourage you not to, but live your life. Even for me in a past relationship, lust was something that was super strong in my life. I mean, it still is a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I'm working on it, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But every day I'm feeling drained. I can't do the things I want to do. I'm not feeling the way I want to feel. I'm kind of feeling a little girly here and there. And it's just I'm not in that space where I can be at 100% potential. I'm just weaker than just weak. I'm a weak dude, you know what I'm saying? That's how I felt in that point in time of what I was just saying.
What are your thoughts about what he's saying? Do you agree? Do you know what he's talking about? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everything he's saying is facts. I've also had times in my life to where it's like I was expelling my sexual energy more than I should, and I fell into depression, anxiety, laziness, not having the energy to do anything, and then relying on my coping mechanisms just to wake up and live and just operate, function as a human being. And a lot of the roots of that was coming from my sexual immaturity and just my abuse of being able to have sex and feel pleasure and make someone else feel pleasure and things like that. I was abusing that, and spiritually that messed me up for a while. So everything he's saying is facts. Like you get, especially with dudes. Like for me, like I said, I just feel more depressed. I get in my head a lot. He was talking about like feeling more feminine, more emotional, things like that.
Yeah, what is that about? What do you mean?
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Emotional, you just
So when you when you're masturbating or whatever, it's like that moment or
he's trying to not go there, you know what I'm saying? Who wasn't trying to go there? We could have went there, but you know what I'm saying? You broke the ice, Jake.
Desensitized with porn and with the industry. There's so many porn actresses that go back on it and they find faith in Christianity because first of all, most of them are on drugs. I'll be honest, like that's just how it is, and it's so desensitized. And so I agree exactly with what you're saying.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Like, and what you brought up a good point because you said, tell me if you're agreeing or not. People who are hyper sexualized, right, or hypersexual, they desensitize themselves emotionally, spiritually, because you're just engaging in physical things to overindulge yourself, right?
100%. And the other thing to go on top of that too is like you start to become more feminine. You lose testosterone the more that you yank your crank. You know what I mean? So like the more what you're driving.
He said yank your crank.
Yank your crank. I don't know whatever you want to call it.
Okay, anyways.
But you lose like
that
that chemical. You lose that manliness. You lose testosterone more than not. I mean, they say that. At least that's what they say. I mean, I can definitely see that too, is becoming more feminine, becoming more emotional, or even just like not being completely in tune with myself.
I'm learning a few things about you gentlemen in here. No, not you specifically. I'm just talking about the nature of men. You feel me? Yeah.
I was going to say it's good that you say that because that impacts most young men in America today. Like that's why you got so many like Blue Chew ads. Or like
Blue
things
Chew.
like that. It's because the porn industry is really just destroying men's mental health and even their perception of sex and sexual relations and what a relationship should even be like in general. Like a lot of us are walking around mentally destroyed because we have a chemical and mental addiction to pornography and the things that we watch on a regular basis.
Wow. Oh my gosh, yeah, you said a lot. Cause you know what? Like that's what drugs do. You know what I'm saying? Like they give you that super high spike of dopamine, and then when you're back to normal, it's like, oh, this is not like I don't feel anything. Like and so you're on this constant chase. So yes, like through this conversation, like I definitely do believe that sex and everything that has to do with that, it does have a spiritual meaning, and soul ties, now I hear like how soul ties are a thing. And then also I understand more why people say that um sexual energy is kind of similar to creative energy. Like, if I don't know, have y'all ever heard that? Like I've heard that if you have like certain urges, like either work out or do that's also creative energy, so go create something. Y'all agree
Oh
with
yeah,
that?
yeah, for sure agree with that. You know what I'm saying? You can't be busting gallons and then expect to create
Whoa.
something. You can't do that. You know what I mean? It destroys everything. It destroys everything. It's imagine a succubus or incubus just walking up to you and just boom cranking you out, and now you just stole all your energy. You stole your joy. That's what the Bible says. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. You dig what I'm saying? He just you know killed your joy, stole your creativeness, and killed your masculinity.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's definitely a lot that we can take from this. No, seriously though, I am starting to understand. Um, if you guys are listening to this, it's like okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is, from this conversation, you can definitely pull that we do interact with each other in more than just a physical way. You have to tend to your spiritual, emotional, mental well-being. Um,
Also, if anybody's in tune to what's going on right now in the music industry with what they're we saying names right now.
Go ahead.
All right, that's cool. With Diddy, Jay-Z, all the actresses and all the celebrities, you know what I'm saying? There's a reason they're doing these things. Sexual energy is a strong energy. And they're not just doing these things for no reason. These sacrifices and these demons, they want it all. So I mean, your semen's got the power to bring life, you know what I'm saying? That's what God gave you. That's a powerful tool used by the enemy for sure.
Oh my gosh, Chrome! Like that what you said is profound, because you bring up a good point. Like sexual lust, and those type of addictions, I believe it's the number one thing that gets a hold of us, and it can destroy our lives because it is so addicting, and there is a correlation in the music industry and the entertainment industry with like sex and just the spiritual darkness of it.
Right.
Debauchery.
Yeah, like debauchery, giving away to your lust. I mean that's why I did in the Bible, didn't it also talk about like, if you just give away to your physical desires, like people having orgies, like that stuff is like,
Right.
it's not godly, it's not holy, and there's a reason for it's not just physical, but there's a reason why God has parameters around this stuff. So it's real stuff what y'all talking about. Another thing that I want to dive into, we're gonna switch gears here, is science and spirituality. For both of you guys, has science
Played a role.
has science played a role in your faith? Has it encouraged your faith or strengthened your faith, or has it caused confusion?
I think for me, I think the period of my life where I struggled the most with my faith and I didn't understand what it was actually when I was in school and in high school. We were learning about like the theory of evolution and things like that. And I was going to church hearing one thing, but I was going to school hearing another, that we evolved from like animals and things like that. So for me, science was kind of just a point that added a little bit more confusion. And I was like, well, I don't really know what to believe because I'm hearing one thing from one place and one thing from another. But I also I was never really good at school. And so I never really paid much attention to what was going on in class and everything like that. And so for me, it was just like, well, I'm hearing this, I'm kind of blocking it out, but I'm also hearing, when I'm hearing in church, I'm also blocking that out because I don't really understand it yet. And so I was kind of in a limbo area when it came to the science versus religion thing. I just didn't know what to believe. So I just kind of didn't really believe either without any more context.
That's very relatable. I think a lot of people come into a crossroads when it comes to trying to figure out the truths of science and then spirituality. I've experienced that as well. Let's talk more about that in the next segment.
That last segment was wild.
Dude, we gotta make a whole show about that. We gotta make a whole show about that. I'm being here. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to make nobody stumble or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Talking sexy in his mic.
Definitely calling me after this podcast.
Yeah, for real.
Busting gallons.
Oh yeah, you
Busting gallons.
gotta do something with that, but
Dude,
You're gonna take me.
nobody knows.
Come on, Mike. Masturbating.
Hey, that's what he said. He said masturbating, right? I'm like,
No, but
dang, he
that's-
said cranking that willy.
Making
I'm yanking the crank.
Choking that chicken.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to go there, but you know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah, we can get into a whole segment about that. So we can get into baby work, you know what I'm saying? We can get into I just recently learned like so when you bust, you know how there's like 10 million semens. Like all of those semen like spirit demons can come grab those semens and like make babies in the spirit world. And then
What?
yeah.
Where is this in the Bible? Dude, I don't know.
Dude, it's not in the Bible, bro. It's
Well,
not in the
but,
Bible. This is
but-
witchcraft. This is I'm talking about Aleister Crowley type shit.
Okay.
But I will say, but actually, I mean, the only thing that I can understand about that is that, I mean, it's the sperm and the egg that makes a whole person. Like, that's how we all start. Like,
These are
that,
demon babies. These aren't regular babies.
okay.
These are demon babies. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious, bro.
No,
I mean, if you go watch porn, you know what I'm saying? You go and everybody got the snake on them. You know what I'm saying? These snakes, bro. Everybody got a snake.
Like, tatted on them?
Yeah, the snake work, that's demon work right there. For sure, ski.
Okay. Yeah, we're typing in a. Okay.
So now ask the same question.
What you about to say?
You didn't answer the question.
Oh, I was gonna say another cool fact about like conception that I found out recently was you know how they say like the sperm will race towards the female egg and then whichever one gets in first is like who you're born as. But it's been studied recently that the female egg actually chooses which one gets in, and so there'll be a bunch of sperm. It's like this barrier, and then it's like once the right one comes in, then it's like okay, you, and then once that the fertilization happens, light is produced.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
heard that. Like,
It's the
what?
conception of
Yeah.
It's
You
like the
said
moment
light?
of conception. Yeah. There's a little thing of light on a microscopic
Small
level in the
flash of light.
moment of conception.
Yup.
Like, that's God right there.
That's for that's God. That's for real. That's what I'm saying.
Like, just light.
Yeah.
In the body.
Yeah, just a little.
That's so funny.
No, it happens in an instant. Like as soon as your consciousness is born, as soon as God puts you into reality, like there's a little bit of a light. As soon as you're conceived, isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
mind-boggling.
Cause it's like, what's the point of the light?
Yeah.
Like,
Nobody's gonna see it.
right.
Yeah, they already did. They
That's
shoot,
fact.
found
Yeah,
found a
yeah.
way to see it.
That's true.
That's kind of funny, bro, because you know how big of a brain does God have to be like, oh, somebody's gonna find this out.
Yeah.
Let me throw this little light piece in here so y'all know. You know what I'm saying? My little signature on there.
Right.
Wow,
Right.
That's just fire. That's just fire.
Okay. Anyways. Okay. Let's go back to the thing.
Here goes the audio. 3, 2.
We're back on the Man Up Club Presents podcast talking about spiritual experiences and just different avenues of life. Science and spirituality. Damon just got done talking about his difficulty in navigating those two worlds. Can you expand a little bit on that? So you said that it was so polarizing that you just left both things alone.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't know what to believe. Like me, I'm the type of person to question everything. I'm a very cautious person. If something doesn't make sense to me, then I'm not gonna follow whatever you're just gonna tell me. Like, especially in school, it was very hard for me to believe that the human race had evolved from monkeys millions and millions of years ago, and like dinosaurs and fossils and everything like that. It's like, it sounds cool in concept, dinosaurs look cool, blah, 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 but it's like, to me, that just didn't feel right. It didn't sit right in my spirit today.
It didn't sit right. What didn't sit right? Because when you look at the monkeys, I will say when they taught us that too, it kind of would bother me because it's like, well, monkeys do look like us. Like their hands, how they have, what, opposable hands and fingers. They can pick things up. Like they're very smart. Like their facial structure, like they look like us.
It was just to me like it's very obvious to me that humans and animals have a different type of consciousness.
True. Yeah.
Like animals obviously have consciousness and everything like that, but it's not like the same as us to where there's like we're making music, creativity, we're learning, teaching, building roads, things like stoplights and everything like that. To me, it's like that differentiation between the human level of consciousness versus the type of consciousness that animals have. It was very different. So to me, I just didn't believe it. I was like, there's no way you're telling me that monkeys got as smart as we are right now just because time passed.
See, I see that too. Like, there's levels of consciousness, right? Like, there's like a dolphin is very intelligent, but I don't know if animals are completely self-aware. I think that's the thing that we have on top of them as humans. That we have a soul. First of all, that's the biggest thing. That's the huge thing that sets us apart. Because animals don't have souls, but I don't even want to get into that. But it's the consciousness that we're self-aware. Like as a kid, I don't know if you've ever like looked in the mirror, like at a very very young age, and you're like, that's me. Like you just like came conscious. Like I've had that moment before. Have you guys ever had that where you're just like in the mirror as a very young kid and you're like, whoa, I'm real?
For sure.
I had that.
I'm sitting there like I'm so cute. I'm like, dang, I'm like, God done made a masterpiece for real.
The fact that we can think about God, that's the difference. Like between us and animals. I mean, obviously there's a lot, but I'm saying like when it comes to spirituality and how I think that, or how I believe that we are made in God's image and we're set apart specifically from that species. Because yeah, it's debatable that animals have a consciousness, but do I think that animals think about God? No, I don't. You know, so that's just me. But Chrome, what about you? Like, when it came to the science and understanding, you know, faith and God, were those two things contradicting each other, or were they enhancing each other?
Most definitely not. The science was always confirming that, all right, what I'm looking at in the Bible sounds way more real because the teachers, dude, the teachers always hating on me all the time because a lot of people knew what I believed in, and you know they would just get so mad about the idea of something else healing you besides the medicine. You know, she's calling people stupid for praying in the hospital. You know, saying somebody's on the deathbed and she's saying they're stupid for praying. Just use the medicine. Just going crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, if you were really trying to tell me something significant that's gonna be of use to me, you wouldn't be going this hard talking down on the person for doing something else. You know what I mean? Like that's not love in the beginning. But yeah, science for sure just brought me closer to God and wanted to know spiritual things opposed to physical things.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. What I will say too is that yes, I've also experienced the polarizations between the two, but I've also experienced how they enhance each other. It's just like one of the things that I like to think about is the fact that it's amazing how when you look at the human genetic makeup of a person, it's like it's crazy how like your heart just beats by itself. Like you don't have to tell it to you don't have to tell your organs to do this stuff. It does it by itself because there's like a will to live. And then, you know, just the fact of like how it all works together, like literally all these little teeny tiny cells are processing individually to keep yourself alive. So yeah, guys, this has been a very interesting conversation, and you know, hopefully what I hope for listeners out here to think about is the fact that there's more than one way to understand God and get to know God. So this has been the Man Up Club Presents podcast, and we will tune in to the next episode.
Yeah, we had to cut it short because Mark needs the space, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's
But
a guy that Mark said that he's supposed to be in here too.
And no, they used overtime last time. We get a buddy pass.
Will that work for an episode though?
yeah, maybe. We might have to add a little bit onto it, but I think it should be okay.
Yeah. It's fine.
don't see him waiting, so let's keep going.
I gotta transfer stuff.
Soft bristle over there.
I got the dual
Double side.
side. You feel me?
Which one you using the soft or hard?
I use the soft normally, mostly because the hard bristle kind of hurts. Like they're hard. Like it feels like I'm brushing with like a wire brush. Or something. It kind of hurts.
Right.
Soft bristle is usually what I'm using right now. It's crazy because like I don't know. I got a little kiddie pool going on. I got this stuff yesterday.
You get the Murray's?
I got
That's what I heard.
Murray's. I got this brush, and then I got a Bow Wow do rag.
You said you get a bow.
You know.
Is it silk?
Yeah,
Sure.
it's like it's satin, but it has it's black and it has like the Greek pattern on it, and on the outside it's a different texture, but on the inside it's satin.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
satin rag.
Oh, okay. For sure.
So I mean, if you give me like 2-3 weeks, I'm gonna be spinning, bro.
You going 360s?
I'm going 360, 360 no scope. You feel me?
That's a task.
Yeah.
That's a task. That boy gonna be
360
sitting there
no scope.
lathering. He's gonna be cutting. He's gonna be what they call it, loafing or woofing. Woofing.
Yeah. That easy on that.
Yeah.
I used to have crazy waves when I was younger.
Yeah.
Then I decided to keep my hair grown out most of the time.
Oh snap.
Thank you guys for coming on the podcast today.
See ya.
That conversation.